Hey guys, what's up? Toboloco here. Welcome to Eafc 24. That's going to take some getting used to, and this is going to be a simulation of this year's Champions League. The game mode is in the game for people that might have been wondering if the Champions League was licensed or not. It is pretty much fully licensed in this game. There's only one team missing from my understanding, and that is Red Star from Serbia, and for some reason the game's thrown in this team, so I'm going to use them in there. But yeah, it's not going to be entirely accurate, but to be honest, do we really expect Red Star to win the Champions League? I mean, they've done it before, so yeah, sorry Red Star fans and all the Serbians out there looking for their team to be represented in this video. The game just put this one in as a replacement. I don't know if it's a good replacement or not. I'm not going to try and look for another replacement. So I basically taking control of teams that I feel potentially could win the Champions League this season and see how far we can go. I know you're all laughing at me for picking Arsenal, but there's still a good chance they're the best team in their group. If you want my personal opinion on who might win the Champions League from this simulation and my own personal, I think Bayern are probably the team to look out for in this Champions League this season. But don't write off Man City for doing the double in the UCL. So I have simulated the whole entire Champions League, and this is what's happened. So let's go through the groups quickly. Galatasaray have topped that group, and Manchester United have come second, Copenhagen in third, and Bayern Munich in fourth. Bayern Munich has some absolute stinkers in Group A. I don't know what the game was doing. I was just quick simming all the results, by the way, you know, just to get through it as fast as possible. It's not the most accurate in the world, but look at the right hand side here when we look at the results. 3-3 against Manchester United. That was kind of accurate to their first game against Manchester United, even though Bayern Munich actually won 4-3. But then they dropped a 4-1 stinker against Galatasaray. Galatasaray blew them away there, and then drew against Copenhagen, lost against Copenhagen after that, and then drew against Man United, and then drew against Galatasaray again. That is wild. That is absolutely wild from the game to think that Bayern Munich will come last in their Champions League group. That is just insane. Moving on to Group B, this is what's happened. It's Sevilla who topped that one, so no Europa League for Sevilla this time round. I would have thought they would have tried their hardest to finish third. Arsenal comes second. That's a bit of a surprise, but I guess it's their first Champions League campaign. But as you can see, Arsenal, they started off with a 2-2 against Sevilla. The fixtures aren't in order, by the way. I don't know why they're not, but yeah. And then you got Lens beating PSV. Then we got Sevilla beating Lens. Arsenal drawing against PSV. Sevilla beating PSV. Arsenal beating Lens away from home. And then Arsenal drawing against them at the Emirates. And then at the end, Arsenal lost against Sevilla, which is a pretty bad result. That put Sevilla top of the group there, as you can see. And then on the final day, Arsenal had to beat PSV by 3-2 to clinch that second spot. Two of those draws were actually against FC Union Berlin, as you can see on the right hand side. Berlin didn't do that badly in this one. Like 4 points, yes, but they drew against Real Madrid twice, and it was a high scoring draws as well, away from home and at home as well. So yeah, I guess well done to FC Union. Napoli there as well, grabbing some points, but they just couldn't beat Real Madrid when they wanted to. So that'll be interesting going into the round of 16. In Group D, this is a little bit harder for me to sort of say about, really. Inter Milan, I would think they would come top in this one as well. They got some good results in this simulation, beating Benfica 3-2. They did lose against Salzburg 2-1. That's not a great result, and they also lost against Sociedad as well. That's their only two losses of this group stage, and then they came back and beat Sociedad, and then they beat Benfica as well, and Salzburg as well towards the end of the group stage campaign. I would say that this group is pretty much realistic. I'd say pretty much. You might have your own opinions about who will come second, but I think Inter would come first in this one. So in Group E, Atletico Madrid and Lazio go through to the knockout stages. Pretty much what I would expect, to be honest. Celtic came last and Feyenoord came third, only a point above Celtic. Not really too much I can say about this one, to be honest. All the results were pretty standard, I'd say. In Group F, the group that contained Newcastle. Wow, when I was simulating this one, what a ride this was, because PSG beat Dortmund in the first match, and that was almost accurate, apart from the fact that Dortmund didn't score in the first match. It was a 2-0 instead of a 2-1, so the game almost got that correct. Milan and Newcastle, in real life that was a 0-0. Milan beat them on the game. Then Newcastle lost against PSG 2-0, and Dortmund then beat Milan 3-0. Then PSG beat Milan 2-1, and then Newcastle started to come back. They got 2-2 draw against Dortmund, and then they beat Dortmund away from home, and then they beat Milan as we're going down here deeper into the group stages. Dortmund got a really good win against PSG, but then Newcastle beat PSG on the final group stage match, and as you can see from the group stage table, Newcastle have a 2-point advantage. So obviously Dortmund dropping those 2 points from that draw really hurt them in that campaign. In Group G, Man City's group, I would say is pretty much realistic. I'd say I think Leipzig and Man City would go through from this group. I think the only thing that annoyed me about this was the fact that Red Star aren't in this game, and I feel that teams that are in the Champions League should be in this mode. They should be, no matter where they're from. EA should just put them in the game, even if they're fake, because then at least it adds a little bit of realism. You know what I mean? Like, they could have just put like a bunch of random players together, called them Red Star, put them in Rest of the World or something, and then let us edit the team or something like that, right? Group H was also another group that I think will end pretty much like this, Barcelona and Porto going through. So, yeah, there was no real massive results in this one until the end. As you can see, Porto beat Shakhtar 5-1, got Barcelona drawing against Porto at the start as well. But as we scroll down here, you can see that Barcelona beat Porto 4-0, and then they beat Royal Antwerp by 7-2. We're going to do the round of 16 live instead of just, because the group stages took too long to simulate individually. I'd rather just, you know, tell you guys what happened and then do this part live, because this part would be quicker. Porto versus PSG, Man United versus Inter Milan, Newcastle versus Sevilla, Lazio versus Real Madrid, Napoli versus Man City, Arsenal versus Barcelona, Real Sociedad versus Galatasaray, and Leipzig versus Atletico. We got Porto versus PSG. Let's have a look and see what happens in this first fixture. Quick simulate this one, and PSG win by 2-1. Next up, we have Manchester United versus Inter Milan. Gonna be a hard one to call, I think, because, you know, if this happened in real life, it would be a bit like, well, I can't really comment because Man United have been up and down, and Inter Milan, they did get to last year's final, but who knows in this situation? Who knows? Let's have a look. Let computer simulate that one, and it was a 1-1. I'd say that's fair. Next up, we have Lazio versus Real Madrid, first leg. Let's get into it, and it was a 2-1 to Lazio. Immobile in the 80th minute. Wow, Real Madrid are in a bit of trouble. We got Napoli versus Manchester City. That's going to be a tough game. Haaland versus Osimhen for the battles of the strikers, and there we go. Napoli won 2-1 over Manchester City. I never can say that name at the top there. Arsenal versus Barcelona, a matchup that would probably excite Arsenal fans now, because, you know, they are a better team than they used to be. Kai Havertz is suspended for this game. Let's have a look and see how Arsenal get on against Barcelona. A 1-1. That's quite respectable. Rafinha in the 85th minute and Ketia in the 61st. Leipzig versus Atletico Madrid. Let's find out what happens in this one. I'm not really too worried about this one. I accidentally picked Atletico for this simulation. A lot of people will be like, why do you think Atletico are going to win the Champions League? I accidentally picked them. And, you know, I had to have someone from this group, right? I tried to pick one team from every group. So, of course, Atletico was going to be the one. But that's a 2-2 draw. Again, another hard one to call. So now we are in The second leg of these matches, it's an aggregate of 2-1 to Lazio in this match. Can Real Madrid pull it back, or will Lazio pull off a shock in this round of 16? Again, a 2-1. It went to extra time because Carvajal got one in the 67th minute, and then Kamada and Anderson finish off Real Madrid. Wow, this game is weird. Like, why does it think? I mean, yeah, it could happen, but I highly doubt it. Next up, we have PSG versus Porto, second leg. Simulate this one, and that's a 4-1. So 6-2 on aggregate. Yeah, Porto out, pretty much. Next up, we have Inter Milan versus Manchester United. Let's see what happens in this second leg. Who will it be? Inter Milan against Man United has finished 3-2 to Inter Milan. Fratesi in the 87th minute. Bruno Fernandes missing a penalty in the 78th minute. That makes me happy. And yeah, Anthony scoring in the first minute really there to give Man United hope. But good sort of win there from Inter Milan, especially when Man United dragged it back so early. Next up, we have Atletico versus Leipzig. Let's simulate this one. And it's a 2-0. So 4-2 on aggregate to Atletico. Manchester City are in a bit of trouble here. 2-1 down to Napoli in this fixture. And they need a win. Will they be able to do it? Will they be able to do it? Oh my goodness. Napoli. 5-1 over aggregate. And Napoli win 3-0. This is wild. All my teams that I'm choosing to win the Champions League are getting dumped out really early. I need one of these guys to get to the final, otherwise this video is gonna not simulate to the end. Let's see who comes out on top in this one. Oh my goodness. Arsenal just won on penalties 4-1 over Barcelona. Wow, they got a perfect 4 out of 4 penalties. Odegaard, Rice and Nketiah and Saka bearing their penalties. Lewandowski missing his, Gundogan putting his away, but Rafinha missing his as well. What a crazy game that was. What a game. That will go down in the history books for Arsenal fans. So I can't believe I'm saying this. Real Madrid, Man City and Barcelona have been eliminated from the round of 16 of the Champions League. That is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's have a look at the quarterfinals then. We got Arsenal versus Sociedad, Sevilla versus Atletico, Napoli versus PSG and Inter versus Lazio. So now we're in the quarterfinals. Let's simulate this one. Arsenal versus Real Sociedad. Should be a win for Arsenal, right? Especially after that. Okay, a 2-2 again. They have really made it difficult for themselves. If Saka didn't miss that penalty, I think it would have been a 3-2, obviously. But yeah, take in the 82nd minute to make it 2-2. What an interesting scenario we have there. Sevilla versus Atletico Madrid, an all-Spanish quarter-final. Let's see who comes out on top. Wow, okay, well, not a lot happened, just a lot of substitutes and a 0-0. Next up we have Napoli versus PSG. Could be a tough one, especially PSG getting Dembele sent off. So let's see what they can do. It was a 1-1. Kolo Muani in the 60th minute and Politano rescues a draw for Napoli. An all-Italian match now for this quarter-final. Inter versus Lazio. Lazio, remember, beat Real Madrid to get here, whereas Inter beat Manchester United. So both of these teams have beaten big sides to get here. And again, another thriller in the first leg. Cataldi rescuing it for Lazio at the end. So second leg time, we have PSG versus Napoli. Who will come out on top on this one? Will it be PSG or Napoli? PSG finish off that match 2-0, 3-1 on aggregate. Mbappe and Danilo score in that game. Our next match to simulate is Lazio versus Inter. Cannot call this one at the moment. Cannot call it. Let's just simulate it. 3-1 to Lazio. Wow. The finalists of last year's Champions League have been eliminated. 3-1. Lazio are having a dream run at the moment. Like, are Lazio really that good in real life? Like, I thought they were just, I don't know. I'm not going to comment. It's a computer game. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. Real Sociedad versus Arsenal. Can Arsenal do it and make the semi-final of this Champions League? Let's see, 3-2, again, another thrilling game. And Nketiah seems to be the best player on Arsenal's squad, coming up big in these matches. Rounding off the quarterfinals, we had the 0-0 first between these two. Let's find out who goes through. Surely Atletico, right? Yep, 2-0, Morata and Rodrigo de Paul. So these are your semi-finals. We have Atletico Madrid versus Lazio and Arsenal versus PSG. Can Arsenal do it? Or will PSG go back to the final for the first time since 2020? Yeah, 2020, wasn't it? The Champions League final between Bayern and PSG. Arsenal have not been in the Champions League final since 2006. Atletico, I believe, 2014 or 2015? Atletico versus Lazio. It's going to be a really tough one to call, considering that Lazio have been so impressive in this simulation. Let's simulate it again. 2-1. Right, well, don't write off Lazio just yet. Griezmann and Llorente scores. Immobile scored in the 80th minute to give a little bit of hope. Arsenal versus PSG. I can't believe Arsenal have got here. But Odegaard is injured in this match. That's going to be really a tough loss for Arsenal there. I can't believe Arsenal got this far, but let's simulate it and find out. Let's see what happens. A 1-1. 1-1. So it was Mbappe who scored in the 79th minute and Saka in the 48th. The moment of truth. PSG versus Arsenal, second leg. They are missing a player as well, with Zaire Emery in midfield and Arsenal missing Odegaard. Who will come out on top? Will it be PSG going to the final or Arsenal? Let's see then. It was PSG, only a 1-0, and it was Vitinha who scores in the 23rd minute to down Arsenal in the semi-final. Unlucky Arsenal, to be fair, but PSG just had that edge. I think if Arsenal had Odegaard, it might have been different, because it doesn't say that he was here. Did he play? No, he didn't. According to the game here, he was not even on the bench. Who will be joining PSG? I almost said Arsenal. Who will be joining PSG in the final? Will it be Atletico or will it be Lazio? Here we go, moment of truth. Oh, Lazio almost did it, didn't they? They almost did it. 2-2 on the night, 4-3, and Atletico have gone to the final. I'm sure a lot of you laughed at me at the start for picking Atletico as one of the teams that could reach this far, but they're here. So, I mean, I guess I did something right. That's crazy. Personally, I think PSG will win it over Atletico, I think. But yeah, let's just round this video off and see who wins it. Let's go. It's quick sim. Yeah, whatever. And oh my goodness, Atletico Madrid have won the Champions League against PSG. Morata scores twice at the start. Then Mbappe gets back into the game for PSG. 2-1, and then after half-time, Ousmane Dembele scores to make it 2-2, and then Molina in the 85th minute. I mean, imagine the scenes. Molina scoring in the 85th minute there against PSG. That would have been wild. I would have been so happy with that, because personally, I never want PSG to win the Champions League. You know, it's just a personal thing. Don't get mad, PSG fans. But yeah, there you go. That is Atletico Madrid. That's crazy. That's crazy, honestly. This simulation has been wild. Anyway, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this simulation video of the UEFA Champions League on Eafc 24. If you did enjoy it, then give it a like and subscribe. Tell me down below who you think will win the Champions League, and do you think this simulation was a good one? Was it a bad one? You know, it's not me, it's the game that brings these results out, so you know, just take it with a pinch of salt. But anyway, this has been Toboloco. Keep it local as always, and I'll see you again for the next video.